Hi, welcome. This is an introduction to Organic Chemistry Part 2. Today, we are going to talk about the Iupac Nomenclature for organic compounds. Iupac is an acronym for International Union of Pure and Applied Chemistry. The naming of an organic compound is split into three parts: the prefixes, the roots, and finally, the suffix. The prefixes indicate the types of substituents or side groups. The root indicates the longest continuous carbon chain bearing the principal functional group. Lastly, the suffix indicates the principal functional group. Looking at word example 1, the principal functional group is alkene, which is at carbon 1 position. The longest carbon chain with the principal functional group is 6. Therefore, 1 hexene is used as the root and suffix. Finally, the bromo substituent is at carbon 6. Therefore, the Iupac name for this compound is 6-bromo-1-hexene. Don't worry, more explanation will be given later. Now for this table, it shows how we label the roots of an organic compound depending on the number of carbon atoms for the longest continuous chain with the principal functional group. Let us look at word example 2. For unsaturated hydrocarbon with CC double bond, the position of the double bond is denoted by the lowest possible carbon number. So depending on how we label the carbon atoms, the position of the alkene can be either C1 or C5. In this case, according to the Iupac nomenclature, using the smallest possible carbon number, pent 1 in is the correct answer. And pent 5 in is the wrong answer. Now for word example 3. For an alicyclic system, which means closed ring, we add the term cyclo in front of the root. For example, we call this compound cyclohexane instead of just hexane. Moving forward, let us look at suffix. So this table shows some examples of suffixes. The group higher up in this table has a higher priority, so if a compound has multiple functional groups, the group with the highest priority will be used as the suffix, while the other functional groups will be used as the prefixes. Let us look at word example 4. For this compound, there are two functional groups, amine and aldehyde. Since aldehyde is above amine in this table, it has a higher priority and the suffix Al will be used. Therefore, this compound is called 3-aminopropanol. Lastly, let us look at prefix. When a functional group is not the principal functional group, we denote them in the prefix instead. This table shows some of the examples. We will consolidate everything using work example 5. The detailed explanation will be provided in the notes, so do not worry. The first thing that we need to do is to determine the root of the compound, which is the longest number of carbon atoms in the parent chain with the principal functional group. So according to the table mentioned previously, carboxylic acid has the highest priority. Therefore, it is the principal functional group. The longest possible carbon chain is therefore 5. Hence, we use the root pent and the suffix oic acid. As for the prefixes, the remaining functional groups are amine, bromine, and methyl. Likewise, looking at the table, their respective prefixes are amino, bromo, and methyl. Lastly, we need to determine the positions of the functional groups. Depending on how you label the chain, the position of the principal functional group can be either C1 or C5. However, by convention, C1, the lowest number, is used. The position of bromine functional group is C2 and the amine functional group is C4. As for the methyl group, both of them are at C3 position. Now, some notation. If the same substituent appears more than once, the term di-tri-tetra is used. Before naming the substituents, for example, there are two methyl groups present, so for the naming of the compound, we refer them as dimethyl. Next, we label the positions of the functional groups using Arabic numerals, and if there are more than one type of substituents, the prefixes are arranged in alphabetical order, ignoring the term di-tri-tetra. So in this case, for the prefixes, we will label amine before bromine because A comes before B. Lastly, commas are used to separate numbers and hyphens are used to separate numbers and words. Therefore, the Iupac name for this compound is 4-amino 2-bromo 3,3-dimethyl pentanoic acid. A is before B in alphabetical order. The principal functional group is carboxylic acid with a root of 5. The position of the substituents and principal functional groups are labeled accordingly. The C3 position is di-substituted with two methyl groups. Therefore, we use the term dimethyl.